myself, I've been involved in research in autism for the last 15 years. And the Great Plains Laboratory has probably done more testing on individuals with autism than any other lab on Earth. We've done tested more than 100,000 children and adults on the autistic spectrum throughout the entire world. So we have now a good knowledge of those kinds of things that are important in helping individuals with autism. And one of the most exciting is the one I'm going to be talking about today, which is the role of cholesterol deficiency and in autism. And you know, there are so many negative things said about cholesterol that a lot of people think cholesterol is very close to cyanide as far as its nutritional need, but it's got a bum rap. I mean, if you don't have cholesterol, you can't function. So too much cholesterol is bad, but on the other hand, too little is also bad. And there's many things like that in life. Too much sugar is bad, too little sugar. If you have hypoglycemia, you get faint, your brain doesn't function. So the same thing is true. For your brain to function, it has to have the right amount of cholesterol. And I want to talk about some very exciting research in this field. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is a disorder called SLOS, and it's just the initials of the first doctors, the last names of the doctors who first discovered this, and it's Smith, Lemley, and Opitz syndrome. So that's where it comes from, and I'm going to talk about why cholesterol is important to the brain, so cholesterol deficiency plays a role in this genetic disorder, and most of these kids with SLOS have autism as well. So I think that's very significant. But I'm also going to talk about cholesterol deficiency in regular autism, which is the vast majority of, for those of you who are parents or physicians, this is the regular autism is the group that you see of the most. This SLOS is a relatively rare disorder, but it is one of the genetic causes of autism. I'm going to talk about why cholesterol is important at all ages and how cholesterol works with other neurotransmitters and hormones to make them work right. And two of these that are very important is serotonin, which is the feel-good neurotransmitter. If you don't have adequate cholesterol, the serotonin system doesn't work. And the second one is oxytocin. The oxytocin is the hormone that's produced that makes the mother bond with the child, and it also is involved in social interactions. As a matter of fact, there's some of those people out there now saying you can spray these around, and I think on the Boston Legal television program, the guy sprayed it on his girlfriend so she would like him better, and then she was going to sue him and so forth. But in any case, the cholesterol is essential for oxytocin, the social molecule, to function right. So those are two of the big things that you need to remember of why cholesterol is important. So I'm going to start out with the way that this information was found historically, and historically it was found in this disorder called SLOS. And they found that some of the children actually had zero cholesterol. If you believed all these TV commercials that you see, you would think this is wonderful. This people would be, person with zero cholesterol, but it would be very healthy, and exact opposite. The person was extremely retarded. They had malformed heart, malformed eyes, malformed legs. So the individual was extremely impaired. So cholesterol is an essential element. You can survive, but just barely without cholesterol. And as a matter of fact, more than likely, this individual with zero died early on. And it is a classic genetic disorder. You just can't convert one compound to the other. And the one compound that I can't convert is the last step in cholesterol synthesis. The body needs about 26 different steps to make cholesterol Number 26 is the one that's deficient in this SLOS. And because of this, the person builds up the precursor of cholesterol, which is called dehydrocholesterol. So if the individual has this disease, this thing will be high and the cholesterol will be low, perhaps even in some cases zero. We've seen some kids with autism who had extremely low values, who did not have SLOS, just typical autism had values as low as 30, which is an extremely low value. In a study of children who have this SLOS, 75% were on the autistic spectrum. The thing that is different is they have physical abnormalities generally. So about 98% have the second and third toes are joined together. So that's not something that the typical child with autism has. But they have many other problems that are common in some children with autism, like lack of speech, severe behavioral abnormality, frequent temper tantrums, hyperactivity, violent outbursts, destruction of property, self-mutilation, self-hurtful behaviors. A thing that is unique is that they have ultraviolet light sensitivity. That's something that most children with autism don't have. And the reason is because this dehydrocholesterol absorbs the ultraviolet light. And so it's like the opposite of a sunscreen. It is a sun intensifier. So some of them have very severe skin lesions if they're out in the sun. These are two children, two brothers who have the SLOS. And the thing that is unique, they have the shortened nose, like the pug nose. And they have this fold around the eye, which is the technical term is epicanthal fold, and their chin is elongated rather than being square. Those are physical characteristics. The thing that's most unique is the Y-shaped toe. So the second and third toe, instead of being separated, are fused together. What was really unusual about this, when my secretary was making some slides for this, I heard her screaming in the next room, what's going on? That's my toe. And so it ended up that my secretary have the kind of toe that's characteristic of SLOS, and it was always very hurtful for her because she would be invited to sleepover parties, and one of the things the little girls did is they had toe socks. But there weren't any toe socks that fit her toes because they were all based on 5 toes, not 4 toes. And so her grandmother made her some special socks that were to fit her unusual toes, and that made her very happy. So even though virtually all people with SLOS have this toe, there are people who have these toes but don't have SLOS. What I suspect, though, is that I'll bet if you look into biochemistry, that probably she has something similar, but even though it's not exactly the same, it's somewhat similar to SLOS. The thing that's unusual is that there's a